All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Mark here. Hey, Slow. Good to see you. All right. Cool. So if you're new to the stream, let me just run through this real quick. Welcome. Here's what we're going to do. Right. First, I'm going to go through the economic calendar so that we're aware of what kind of events can come out this week that can change things very quickly. Second, I'm gonna spend a little time on the Bitcoin chart because I wrote my analysis yesterday, and we always want to kind of see like a little update there, and I can answer questions about that. And then we're going to get right into the trades with the Trade Scanner Pro. All right, so let's get right into this. Let me pull this thing up here. All right, so this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. All right, so real quick. Just want to mention a couple of things before I get to the economic calendar. I mentioned this the week before. I am making some significant changes to this stream. So my production quality is going to improve, at least the streaming presentation, because I have better software, right? This software that I'm using right now, I'm not going to be using anymore. And it gives me a lot more flexibility, and I could do a lot of cool things with that software. So that's coming very soon. I'm working on the layouts and stuff, but it's coming. Also, I'm going to be changing my streaming schedule a bit. This time slot is not going to change. So you guys that come to my stream all the time on Mondays at 3 o'clock, that's going to stay the same. But I am planning to add some more time slots. All right. So I'm not going to get into details because I don't want to say, hey, I'm going to be on at this time, and then I don't show up at that time and everyone's going to get mad. It's not like I have a lot of people watching me anyway, but still, you know what I'm saying? Because the goal, again, is I want to grow the channel and I want to be able to help people. And I've been working on some ideas along with the Trade Scanner Pro to be able to use that tool in a way that offers more potential. Now, I've been experimenting with like the day trade with MEXC, right? Because I thought that was a pretty decent exchange, and they are adequate for my purposes. But I've come across something that has more potential, and I just need to research it a little further. All right. Once I have some answers there, I'll get into more details. But I think it would be better for a greater amount of people, because one thing I've noticed about the Bitcoin space, especially when it comes to day trades, is a lot of people don't really day trade Bitcoin. They invest. Right. And all the videos that I watch, all the fake gurus out there that are pushing Bitcoin videos and blah, 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 they're all basically on the investment perspective, and they're getting all views. Right. So anyway, I have some plans. You guys will see how they unfold over the next few weeks. All right. Anyway, but thanks for sticking with me. Hey, Mario. All right. Good to see you. Okay. Nugs. All right. Grego. Good to see you guys. Hussein, my regular. Savi from Brooklyn. How you doing? Savi doesn't really talk like that. All right. Anyway, so let's get into that economic calendar, shall we? Very quickly. How's my sound, by the way? Let me know if my sound is okay. I know that it may have like a little bit of an echo. I understand. Savi reminds me of that every time. But don't worry, the improvements are coming. It's just a slow process. By the way, Steen is still working. The Trade Scanner Pro improvements are coming. It's just he has a full-time job, so he can't make the improvements as fast as we'd like them, but he's working on it. The thing is, the Trade Scanner Pro works the way it is right now. So we can use this tool. And again, I like to come on here, and my goal is to help you understand how to use it properly so that you can get benefit out of it. Also, I know why I have like 6 people watching me right now. I realized what the problem is actually. Twitter, I got kicked off of Twitter through this platform. I guess something happened with Twitter and then it messed up the connection. So instead of me reconnecting it, I'll just wait until I have the new software running because it'll be connected to Twitter. That's why I only have like 5 people watching me. So it tells me one thing: YouTube does absolutely nothing for me. And by the way, I also learned that if you press the like button while I'm streaming, it will actually help the algorithm spread the thing to other people's suggested videos or whatever. So theoretically, it should bring on a couple more people. So do me a favor, press that like button and help me out in that way. And let's see if it works. I mean, it's not like we have a lot of people that can press it, but you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, but I had not realized how much people came from Twitter. I always thought, well, I have like 100 bots here and I have like 5 people watching. Well, no, all those people are coming from Twitter. And Twitter people can't participate on these streams. Like they can't type anything in. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that. Let's jump into the economic calendar, shall we? Because I talk too much. So first thing, we have a pretty busy week in terms of economic news. We have, starting tomorrow, which is Tuesday, we have, I believe it's the Bank of Canada. Is it the Bank of Canada with their rate announcement? I believe it's the Bank of Canada. Double check me on that. It's either the Bank of Canada or the Swiss. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. It's the Bank of Japan. The Bank of Japan tomorrow in the evening has their interest rate announcement. So the yen, that's a pretty heavy factor in the Forex world. So it may have some effects on things if there are any surprises. That's usually around 8 p.m. or after 8 p.m. Eastern time for the Bank of Japan. So please keep that in mind. On Wednesday, we have the FOMC meeting. So you know how that goes. At 2 p.m., their interest rate announcement comes out, followed by their press conference at 2:30. Now, as you guys know, the markets have been very sensitive to a lot of information in recent weeks. And all eyes are going to be on that press conference. So it could have a good outcome. It could have a negative outcome. There's no way to know in advance. So just be aware of that. If you're going to take positions into the FOMC, just understand the risk that you're taking. Maybe you just want to, give it a try and hopefully it comes out your way. But just keep in mind, we can see a massive range expansion on that day based on what the Fed comes out with. Okay, the talk, the Fed talk at 2:30. So please keep that in mind. On Thursday, we have, I believe it's the Bank of England has their rate announcement, their interest rate announcement, and also the Swiss National Bank has their rate announcement. So we have a lot of interest rates announcement coming out all over the world this week. And of course, the FOMC is going to be the big one because that's our, that's the reserve currency. So just keep that in mind. These other international interest rate announcements can have effects if there are surprises. So just be aware of those things. I don't have the timestamps for the Bank of England or the Swiss National Bank, but just double check on those. And that's pretty much it. There were some other data points that I saw on the calendar, but they're not really that important, especially in a week full of interest rate announcements. All right, so that's pretty much that. Now, let's get into this Bitcoin chart real quick. Let me make the chart bigger so you don't have to see my big head the whole time. Here, we're going to do this. And let's talk about Bitcoin. So this chart right here is the chart that I put out on my TradingView profile yesterday, right? And as you can see here, I pointed out the double bottom. Now, remember where we were a week ago, guys? Do you remember where we were a week ago? And people are like, I don't know, this market looks so bad. And what was I saying? This is a time to buy because this is where we were. We were fooling around this low area right here. And the potential double bottom was a high probability. UTXO getting what? I can't read that. By YouTube means your videos actually improve. Actually, no, it's just that YouTube just doesn't spread my stuff because I don't trigger the algorithm. Like the algorithm just doesn't like me because I don't do the right things. All those bots, UTXO, that I suspected were bots were actually people watching from Twitter. And Twitter people can't participate as far as the chat goes. So that's why I'd see all these like 100 people watching, but only like 2 people would be texting. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm fixing that. So I don't care that I only have 5 people watching. It's cool. I have it. It's fixed, and the new software will be able to see the improvement. Anyway, but thanks for pointing that out. So, like I said, a week ago we were fooling around here, and I remember Sean came into the chat. I don't know if you guys remember, and Sean was like, small bites, and I said, well, small bites are something that I usually encourage people to do at the top, right? When we're pushing highs, small bites, because you're risking, this is the risk you're taking, right? When you're buying at the highs, when you're buying at 100K, 95K, 100K, 105, when everything looks great and all the fake gurus are all, going to 1.2 million, right? All that nonsense. I don't have to repeat that, but that's the risk you're taking at these levels up here, right? At these levels. That's where I tell people small bites, so that when this happens, if this happens, you're like, oh, no big deal. In fact, I'm hungry for more. And this is where you should be looking for more. So you still have to be responsible. You don't want to go all in. But the thing is, you don't have to go so small here because you're not at those high risk levels. I would like to consider this like mid risk levels, right? Middle risk, where instead of a small bite, maybe you take a normal position. So for example, if your normal position, let's just use stock shares as an example. Let's say you normally buy 50 shares of something because that's comfortable for you, right? So a small bite is 10 shares. So in this situation, perhaps you buy 50 shares or maybe you buy 25 shares and you're planning to buy another 25 pretty soon because we are at attractive prices. You have to understand where you are in the bigger picture. Now, is the sell-off over and are we out of the clear? I don't know. I'm anticipating a test of 80K. We're not pulling back there, at least not yet. The FOMC may bring it there. Who knows? Right? We're not here to figure out, we don't know the future. All we are is preparing for potential scenarios so that you know what to do if we get there. I mean, you saw the NASDAQ a week ago, right? The NASDAQ went as low as 467 2 times. And today it's at like 484 or something like that when I looked like an hour ago. So that's why you cannot pay attention to all the experts and all the people, oh, this thing, tariffs this and all this other nonsense. Instead, pay attention to your levels, pay attention to your structure. You will be ahead of probably 99% of everyone else if you just pay attention to those two components, because you can gauge risk with that information. And then you have to know how much risk you're willing to take, right? That's the other key aspect of this, is being cognizant of your risk tolerance and then following through with that. How much risk are you willing to take? The more risk you're willing to take, the more you can get paid, but you have to be willing to take the risk. Meaning if it goes the wrong way, you can handle it. That's the thing. Okay. And I don't think people give a lot of thought to that. So anyway, maybe we pull back to 80 even, right? Which is this area here, the 80 evens. Maybe we retest 76K area. Maybe that would also be another, if we do something like that, if we test this area like that, that would also be another double bottom. That's like a compound double bottom, because we would have in that scenario, we'd have a bottom over here, we'd have one over here and over here. And those are high probability prices. If we clear 76, then we're looking at 73 to 70. So in that idea of accumulating, those would be good prices to buy some more, but you have to be willing to step in front. You have to have the courage and the confidence to do it. We can go as low as 65. And the reason why 65 is such an important number, as I pointed out a week ago, is because that's the wave count number, right? 65 is basically this area right here. If I look at that high right here, what's that high? 66.2, right? This area right here, I'll put an arrow there again, like this area right there. That basically is where wave 1 and wave 4 overlap. And if they overlap, that's not necessarily bearish. What it means is that this broader impulse that everyone's been all excited about is no longer in effect. That's what that means. So more likely we're in a gigantic range in that situation. I would not be so quick to call it bearish on the big picture. Small picture, sure. So, and each time frame, like small picture or mid picture or big picture, you should have strategies that take into account the information from that picture, right? For example, your small picture strategies, like day trades, for example, are not going to be the same as like your mid picture, right? Which would be more like swing trades. The strategy is not going to be exactly the same. There's going to be some variations, especially when it comes to the risk tolerance and stuff like that. So that you have to be aware of that stuff, right? I'm not going to sit here and teach all that right now, but you get the point. So as of right now, this is good looking. We can argue that there's a bear flag here and blah, blah, blah. We can argue that a lower high may develop very soon in this area. Those are all possibilities. But right now, we don't have any confirmation of that. Right now, all I see here at the moment is a higher low and a likely higher high. Maybe we don't pull back to 80. That's also a possibility. And maybe we just continue back into the 90s. This is the resistance up here. This is the main resistance. If we clear that resistance, then we open the possibility of being in a broad wave 5. If that's the case, things can get very bullish very quickly, but we have to clear this area. It has to be cleared, like meaning we need to be like up here somewhere and pulling back and not breaking lows. Does that make sense? So that's the roadmap for this thing. So right now, we're still at attractive prices for responsible accumulations. Again, you have your 10K set on the sidelines. You want to invest 10K. You're not going to do it all at one price. You're going to spread it out over prices and over time. Any questions about that? You guys following me? I think sometimes I talk fast and I may get a little too abstract at times. And I want to make sure that you can follow along and you understand where I'm going with this, because I'm still bullish on this time frame, and it's going to take a lot for me to get bearish on this thing. And I'm looking for these reversal patterns for longs on the bigger picture, meaning, you buy some, it pulls back, you buy some more, it pulls back, dollar cost averaging into something that's generally bullish. And that's what Bitcoin is. Make sense? All right. I don't see any questions. So let me know if I know there's a little bit of it takes a little time for you guys to hear me. But let me know and I'll jump back. If you want to see any other altcoin or anything like that, let me know. Let's jump over to, let's just see what's going on in other markets real quick too. Is going to 1 million. Yeah. I'm optimistic, but I think it's a little unreasonable. 1 million. I think, 120,000 is within reason. I think 150K is within reason. If wave 5, allergies. If wave 5 unfolds, wave 5 should be a higher high. And right now our current high is 109. So wave 5 should be higher than that, right? So 120, 130, those are all within reason if wave 5 unfolds and it extends. But that's not something that we can forecast with any kind of accuracy. Everyone knows the top of BTC cycle. Right, UTXO. Well, if you listen to all the fake gurus, they definitely know. Every day I see some stupid video. So anyway, so this is the bond market over here, right? So let's just take a quick look at this. And let's go to this is the daily chart. Let's go to the weekly chart real quick on the bonds. Like what's been happening here? Because this is a major factor in a lot of things. As you can see, bond prices have risen and they've gone back basically to the midpoint, right? The midpoint of the range. And there's some resistance there. But higher bond prices means lower rates, right? Right? And that's inflationary. Let's take a look at the US 10 yield, right? This is the yield. So this should be inverse to the bond prices. These are the interest rates. So look, interest rates have pulled back a bit, but this is not really that meaningful. We're basically range bound. Look at this. Look at this, right? This is the range of the yield, or you could say inverse bond prices. So we stay in here. I don't really think this is really going to be meaningful. We have to break out. Either we're going to break lower or we got to break higher. If we break lower, this is going to be inflationary, right? Obviously, that's going to be inflationary if rates are going lower. And that's something, obviously, that the administration wants to, there's a lot of talk of that. They want interest rates to be lower. They want money to be easily borrowed. And they're saying all these other things will offset that. The inflationary effects of the tariffs are supposed to be offset by something else. I don't know. I don't put a lot of weight into all that stuff. I don't pretend to know like how to put that puzzle together. Some people, that's all they do. Like, oh, if you put this economic piece over here and that one over there and this over here, it should mean this. I don't do that because you know why? That just invites opinions. And I found opinions to be very costly when you're wrong. And things are so complex that I wouldn't even know how to put a right argument together in that area. Because then things, sometimes what happens is relationships that we expect to be a certain way don't behave that way. And then it throws everything off. So I'd rather pay attention to price structure, and price levels. That steers me the right way. Whether the market wants to be strong, the market wants to be weak, whatever it wants to be, I'm steered the right way. And then I can adjust based on that information relative to my risk tolerance. That's where you have to be. All right, no more bonds. Let's move along here, because I want to get to the Trade Scanner Pro. Any questions? Any questions? So I'm going to put this while you guys are thinking. Bitcoin perp, right? So we're going to go to the MEXC chart over here. MEXC sent me another email, by the way. They really want me to be an affiliate. Meanwhile, we have an affiliate link. It's Stian's link. So I'm not going to sign up with them. We're going to use Stian's link if we're using it. All right, so we're going to change this to the hourly chart. How many of you guys have the Trade Scanner Pro? And if you don't, that's okay. Can you please show us a scenario of wave 5? Oh, sure. All right, I can show you wave 5 real quick. All right, so let's go to the weekly chart. All right, so we're on weekly chart real quick. And I mean, this is the weekly, okay? And this the way I have it labeled on my other chart, I have like a wave 5 question mark up in here, up in this area. And that wave 5 that I was questioning was wave 5 of this entire structure, which is wave 3. Yeah, in fact, I'll draw a rectangle around it. So I consider this back here wave 1. This is the bottom of wave 2 right there, right? And then we break out, this entire thing is wave 3. And that has 5 waves in it, okay? That has 5 waves that can clearly be counted. That was the 5th of the 5th wave that I was referring to, right, up here. So this could be, if I'm wrong about that 5th wave, right? Then this is the wave 4 of that. Okay, this is the wave 4. I don't think this is the large magnitude wave 4, because it needs to be, the large magnitude wave 4 needs to look something like this. We look nothing like that yet. So this pullback here can just be part of the broader wave 3. That's a possibility. But if this wave 3 is complete, all right, and we don't, and if this happens to be the broader wave 4, if it happens to be, and we push this, right, we push that high, that's the confirmation. I mean, wave 5, we can project it in a number of ways, okay? You can look at the 1618 projection. I don't think I have that set up on here. No, I don't. We can, actually, I can go to the projection tool. All right, I can do this. So you can do something like this, right? And you could say, okay, what are the projections? So, you have a 1.0 at 132. That's a 100% move from this low, right, to the higher low, from this low right here to the higher low. That's where it's projected from. 100% move, or whatever, a 1.0 is here. So that's 132. Look at the 1618. Right? Look at it up here. 165. So that's where you can project a wave 5. Basically the completion point, the potential completion points. That's where you can get some relevant levels from. But of course, it always depends what you measure. Right? I measured this wave right here. Okay? I mean, if I measure the entire wave, we're going to get another variety of numbers. If I measure this wave, but we hardly have a pullback, right? This is hardly a pullback. So if you look at these numbers, the 1.0 is at 172, right? But that's a much larger magnitude wave that I just measured. So you can look for overlapping points as well. And sometimes you get some overlap and you'll be like, all right, that's how you kind of estimate those wave 5 completion points. Does that make sense? Why do you use wave counts? Seems like you use it a lot. Well, because wave counts they give you a very broad view of things, and wave counts also are based on their foundation comes from the emotional aspect of the market. And if you know anything about the wave counts and their origins and like what they actually represent, they represent sentiment. So it's a natural formation, and that formation is coming from sentiment. So, and they're very useful because basically the wave counts give you a roadmap, and they say, okay, look, as long as this structure stays intact, we're likely to go here. If the structure does not stay intact, we're likely to go there. That's why wave counts are very useful for that, like a broad roadmap. To trade on them outright is very hard to do because there's a lot of margin of error, and it can get very messy. So I don't take trades based on the wave count, but the wave count I use as my broad perspective. And it helps me to gauge expectations realistically. Like, for example, right now, we're potentially in a wave 4. If this wave 4 holds up, I know that we have a lot of upside ahead of us. Where a lot of people, especially people who are clueless, they're like, these things are short. And you're shorting into something that is pointing way higher, right? So you don't want to short something like that. Just in the same goes for the tops. Up here, I was calling, if you look at go back to my streams and go back to my articles, up in this area, both times, I was calling for highs. In fact, at the December high, I said infamously, the party is over, right? How can I say that? How do I know the party is over up here? Because it's a wave 5. It's a smaller magnitude wave 5, but it's a 5th wave. When you count 5 waves of something, typically the party's over, like the steam runs out. Because 5th waves are when everyone thinks that this thing is safe. This, again, goes back to sentiment. This thing is going to just keep going higher. I don't want to miss out. The sentiment is extreme at wave 5. So what usually is actually happening is everyone that would have bought has bought, and only the most ignorant of the ignorant are buying at the top, right? So if you know that, you know not to be taking any serious positions long here in this area. That's why I warn people, small bites, don't be going nuts up here. Day trades only, or swing trades, because that helps you avoid a serious pullback, which is likely to follow wave 5s. That's why I use wave counts. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Can we look at XRP and its dominance? I don't look at the dominance because I don't think that's really that useful. Especially for the type of, I'm very technical as far as chart patterns and things like that. I think that Bitcoin dominance stuff, I just think it's unnecessary. I'll look at XRP real quick, but I'm not going to look at the dominance thing because I think it's unnecessary. I mean, look, this chart, first of all, is dependent on Bitcoin. All the altcoins are. This thing has the same idea, right? It rallied back in November because, we know why, the election. And since then, it's just been in a range. Look. So just like Bitcoin could be in a wave 4, this thing, if we go back, let's go to a weekly, right? This thing, I don't know what this is. Look, this tried to be an impulse back here, right? And then it went back to 30 cents. I remember it spent forever at this price. So this is your first impulse really out of there. That's your wave 1. All right. So this thing is technically in a wave 2. Wave 2s they can retrace 100% of wave 1 and still be bullish. So you have to keep that in mind. But right now, your wave 2 bottom is right around here, which is what? Around $2? A dollar? What is that? Like basically $1.90 or $1.80s, like in this area right here. These would be your best prices to accumulate some. If it breaks below that support, then remember, this thing technically, if you understand the rules, there are 3 simple rules. Wave 2s can retrace 100% of wave 1. That is a possibility, right? But if this thing clears these resistances, then you're looking at 3. And wave 3s are usually not the smallest wave. Usually they're larger and very exaggerated, but they're not always the largest either. Wave 5 could be the largest, right? But wave 3 cannot be the smallest, right? So that means it needs to be bigger than wave 1. So just something to keep in mind. But that's really all I could say about it. And it's all dependent on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin sells off, then this will probably sell off too. That's why you could use Bitcoin as your gauge. Now, I know this thing has its own specific catalysts with the SEC and all that other nonsense. I realize that. And some of those specific catalysts can come into play, but it's still going to need Bitcoin to really get this thing at, to ridiculous prices. All right. I think XRP has potential. It has that fundamental potential. They have those fundamental arguments. So it may be a nice investing instrument, but definitely not for day trades. All right. So good question. Thanks for asking about that one. All right. I'm going to move on now. And we're going to move on to the Trade Scanner Pro. All right. No problem. I'm sending the bill is in the mail. Okay. So let's I am now on the MEXC chart. We're going to change this to 1 hour. You know the routine, guys. Let me see how we doing with time. All right, yeah, we should be okay because the stock market's still open. Now, as you guys know, let me pull up the other chart. All right, so I have both charts here. Look, there's a trade that's in play right now. But before we even get into that, let's just talk about our context, because when we're dealing with the Trade Scanner Pro, as I always remind people, you have to come to the market with your own idea. You can't just take random trades. So my own idea, for one, I know I want a day trade. You must know this in advance. If you want a day trade or swing trade, I'm going into this. I know I'm looking for a day trade. Second, I need to find my structure and my levels, right? So I'm going to use the 1 hour chart to figure those two components out. This is before I'm looking at any signals. So this is my 1 hour chart. And I have to decide, based on this chart, I have to decide what I think the trend is and where the levels are. Now, right now, based on the most recent information, what am I looking at here? We have the low, okay? We have a low over here. That's pretty clear. We have a higher low over here. All right, that's pretty clear. We have a higher low over here. And we also have a series of higher highs, slightly. We have another little mini higher low situation right here, okay? Higher low, and it's going for the high. This thing is strong on this time frame. Those are all characteristics of something that's generally bullish. Okay, that's important. Why? Because it's going to affect how I judge levels moving forward, especially when I go to my 1 minute chart. So I want to mark out some levels now, and I don't need to put too many on the chart. I just want to have nearby ones. All right, that's a level right there. That's a support. All right, if we have one around here somewhere, right about there, that's a support. We have some support inside of here, right? That right there, that's clearly a support. What about resistances? Let's see. We have some resistance up here, and look, we're fooling around there. We also have some resistance up here somewhere. Okay, yeah, look at that. Now notice, I'm not drawing from here. I'm drawing from back here, because this is what I'm paying attention to. I'm looking at this and be like, oh, this right here was an old support. And oh, look, it was a resistance over here. So that's a level that I want to pay attention to. What's actually happening at these levels? What's happening is you had people buying over here, right? Everyone's long, following their fake guru. They get hammered, but a lot of people, they don't get out. They stay in and they hope. And when it gets back to that level, they're like, oh, here's my chance to break even. So they were a buyer here, and then they sell over here, right? That's why support and resistance levels, that's the theory behind why they change or they flip. So that's why when I spot things like that, okay, I have some idea now what to expect. My trend is generally bullish, or my momentum on this time frame is generally bullish, which means support levels should have a greater probability of staying intact. Supports should hold. Resistances should break. That is the expectation. I go into this now. Why? Because the market's generally bullish. If it was generally bearish, if I was looking at lower highs and lower lows, then my expectations would be opposite. I'd expect supports to break. and resistance to hold. Does that make sense? So that's we're going to lean on those probabilities. I can't specifically assign a probability. I can't say, okay, this support has an 80% chance. I can't do that. But I can say, all right, this support is more likely to hold. I believe a greater than 50% chance, right? That I can do based on what I just told you. So that's a very important part of the Trade Scanner Pro. I'm going to make videos on that more specifically. I know I say that every week, but it takes time. And I have other things I'm working on. But that's really like the whole point of arriving at your own trade idea. You have an idea of what market, the idea that the market, which way the market is moving right now, and when it pulls back to a notable level, how it should behave there. And if it doesn't behave there the way we expect, then there may be a change at play, and we have to adjust. Well, I think one of the biggest weaknesses and one of the biggest problems traders have with this stuff is they're not flexible. You have to be flexible. You have to adjust when the market changes. And that's the only way you can navigate these markets. And especially when you're working with small time frames, because the market changes a lot. All right. So we have our ideas. Now, so basically I should be looking for longs. I should be looking at for longs, especially near supports. We don't really, I mean, this resistance that we've cleared, we can argue. Now, this is where things get a little more advanced, right? We can argue that there's some little resistance in here, right? We can argue for our purposes as a day trade, because remember, I'm not looking for a big move. I just want to be on the right side and capture, a couple of 100 points or whatever. That's a day trade for Bitcoin. We may pull back from this little area where we are right now, because there is some kind of resistant action very recently that might be meaningful. So I want to put all these notes in the back of my mind, and then I want to go to the Trade Scanner Pro, right? So let's look at our chart. Now I'm going to my 1 minute chart. I knew this in advance because that's where I like to day trade from, the 1 minute, with all that information that we've just gathered. So you can see these blue lines. These blue lines are from the 1 hour chart. They're showing up on my 1 minute chart, right? So we are resistant here. There is some resistance. Now, there is a long signal that's been in play here for a little while. Now, remember what I said before, resistance should break. And it looks like that's what's trying to happen right here. I mean, look how close we are to the profit objective. Can I do anything with this trade right now? No, I can't. And the trade's been in play for, all this time that I've been talking my mouth off here. Look at the trailing stop. It's reduced the risk by more than 50%. I mean, it's a beautiful trade. I can't do anything. I'm not going to chase it. I'm not going to buy it now, right on the resistance level. So in this situation, if you find yourself using the Trade Scanner Pro and you're like, I want to go long, but what do I do now? You only have a couple of choices here. You have to wait until this trade plays out, and that can take a while, right? On the 1 minute chart, this trade, in fact, let me go to my settings panel and let me turn on, is it all turned on? Okay, it is all turned on. Let me just look at my historical trades here for a moment. Look at this. I don't see any shorts. Were these winners? Let's see. That was a profit, 240 points. What about this one? Okay, that one lost. That one minus 159. Sometimes you get these little stop outs. You get these little fake out situations, right? That's annoying. But then the second one was worth something. Now, those profits are based on the profit objective, not the runner. So if there was a runner here, then we don't see, that's not reflected in that historical trade. Look at this, right to the profit objective. What am I going to do? I can't do anything with that. The only reasonable course of action is to switch to the 5-second chart. Well, I wouldn't go that low. But in this situation like this, where it's going to be a while before we get another trade signal, because look, we can measure how much time between signals. What is that? 304 minutes? No, I'm sorry. 63 minutes, 63 bars. So that's an hour, right? This was an hour before the new signal. Do we want, I mean, at the rate this is going, It may be another hour or two before I get another signal. And that's okay. I mean, for me, I'm constrained by the stream. I'm not going to sit here for 3 hours and stream. Although I should, I'm not going to do that. So, but realistically, if you're watching this and you're like, okay, what do I do now? You simply have to wait. You have to wait for this trade to finish out and then the next setup to happen, right? That's one thing you could do. Now, the good news is you can just go here, right, and set this up on TradingView. And then you just pick the Trade Scanner Pro on this thing right here, right? And then you just press this button and you will get a notification when a new signal appears, when this trailing stop is touched, or a heads up. Like if a heads up happens, these green columns are heads up, which means a signal is coming. It's like in the next 3 to 5 candles, a signal is likely to appear, right? So you can then walk away and do whatever and then wait for a signal. So if it takes an hour or two, no big deal. You get your notification from your app or whatever, and then you can take action, right? Without having to sit in front of your computer. So you should take advantage of that because that's really one of the main ideas behind this script, right? The Trade Scanner Pro is having that convenience and not having to sit in front of your computer for 3 hours waiting for a signal, which is not always practical for everyone. Now, so in this situation, clearly we're bullish. Clearly we've cleared this resistance pretty much. All right. I'm going to have to go to a smaller time frame to demonstrate the script. I don't recommend this. So here I'm on a 15-second chart now, right? I'm not going to go counter trend because we've blown through the resistance. If we were right at the resistance, I may be open to counter trend, right? Which can be very confusing. Situation like this, look, these may have offered some counter trend opportunities here. Counter trend, for those of you that don't know, you simply go to your settings and you turn this, you press the counter trend button, and that'll turn counter trend on, which means it's going to look for signals that go against the trend. And you only want to use that at specific levels, support and resistance, or support or resistance. You don't want to use that in the middle of nowhere. When you're in the middle of nowhere, like you're not at a support or you're not at a resistance, you just go with your momentum on your time frame, which in this case is bullish. So I'm not going to go to counter trend mode. I'm going to follow the trend here just on a smaller time frame. So realize the 15-second chart is going to show like these movements are going to look a lot more dramatic, but really in reality, this is a tiny pullback. So let's see if we can get a long signal on this tiny pullback. Just realize this time frame is a lot more erratic and very noisy and much harder to trade. You're better off waiting for just the 1 minute to give you a continuation at some point, right? That's the more conservative thing to do. You can also use a 2 minute or a 5 minute, right? In fact, let's just take a quick look, right? What does a 2 minute look like? Anything? Right? That's the 2 minute chart. How about the 5 minute? What does that look like? Okay, nothing there, but we do have the higher high. Interesting, higher high. So maybe we get the higher low. That could also turn into that could be a failed high. If this thing like really breaks lower, then this would qualify as a failed high. And that might be a reversal. Like we may pull back a little bit, right? That's what all that would signal. Something like that, a pattern like that, I would not be like, oh, this thing's going back to 76K, everyone. I wouldn't be that extreme. But a pullback meaning we can go back to this area right here or possibly this support over here, right? That's all you're looking for because of this. We're on a small time frame. So let's go back to the 15-second. And if you guys have trouble, if you don't understand what I'm saying or if you're confused, please let me know. I'm here to answer questions. I want you to understand how to use this tool effectively. So we're going to wait. We're getting a little pullback here. Maybe the 1 minute will give us something more meaningful here. All right. If I can use the 1 minute chart, I will. I prefer to use the 1 minute. This is a decent pullback on the 1 minute. So I'll use the 1 minute chart for a signal. We're pulling back to that old resistance, which may be supportive now. We'll see. But having a tool like the Trade Scanner Pro is nice because I don't have to sit here and guess or be faked out. Like what if we get a pin bar right here, a bullish pin bar? Some people may jump right in and be like, yeah, it's a buy signal. But the Trade Scanner Pro is not likely to give us a signal just because a bullish pin bar appears. Other criteria has to be met. And that's why having a confirmation tool like the Trade Scanner Pro is so helpful. Like, look at this right here. That's beautiful right here. That's a trade from before that I was talking about, right? You had the warning, you had the heads up, which is that orange candle, gave you the green column, and then the signal showed up on the next candle. right? Look at that. And it gave you a little bit of a hard time, but then eventually it paid off. So that's, the tool is really to help you simplify your decision making. That's really the purpose of it, not to help you forecast trades. You still have to do the forecasting part, which, as I showed you, it's not that hard. It just takes some time. It takes a little experience, but you don't have to spend 10 years trying to figure this out. The hard part of being a trader really is the adjustment part and knowing what confirmation looks like and all that kind of stuff. And that's the part that the Trade Scanner Pro helps you with. All right. So let's see what's happening here. Let's give this a chance to give us a signal. All right. Now we got the pullback. Remember, the Trade Scanner Pro is a pullback tool. It looks for pullbacks. That's what it wants to see. It wants a pullback. This is a pullback. So over the next couple of candles, I suspect we'll get a heads up, right? We're not there yet. We don't have a heads up yet, but I suspect we'll get one. I bet you if we go to a 30-second chart, we'll have one. Okay, maybe not. Let's try the 15-second. Heads up there. Oh, look, there's a signal. And it just went off. All right, let's see if I can take that. Can I buy one? How much do I have there? I have one. All right, I'm going to buy it. I'm taking the 15-second. I mean, look how fast that was. The heads up appeared and it popped and the signal came. That was quick. Again, it's 15 seconds though. This may stop out just as quickly. I'm not in this, not enough funds to complete the order. I can't buy this. I have to reset this account. Not enough funds. I thought I had $1,000 in there. This is my practice account, by the way. Oh, I only have $500 in there. All right. Let me see if I could change that real quick. Can I change? Oh, no. I can't change that here. I have to reset the account. All right. Well, can I take a half a position? Oh, wait a minute. Is this MEXC? Yeah, I should be able to take this. I don't think they'll give me 0.5. Let's see. Will they take? No, they won't take 0.5. I can't even buy one contract. You have to be joking. Not enough funds. So you can't do this with $500. Not on this, not Bitcoin anyway. I probably have to do like Ethereum or something. But Ethereum's probably not the same. Let's see. No, man, that's a good trade too. Well, let's just follow this. Let's see how it plays out. So I tried to buy it right here. All right, so my price is basically $4.97. So we could just say 5 even, 84,500. Let's just see how it plays out. So you guys following along? What do you guys, any questions? And like I said, I'm going to have, ooh, look at that. I'm going to have a much better way to play this game that I'm showing you here that has way more potential than what I'm doing here. I think it'll be beneficial to a lot more people also. And it has greater potential. I'm not being specific right now because I just want to research it a little further. But once I have enough information, then we'll talk about that, because I think it's much more productive than having like a $500 account or a $1,000 account and trying to make like a few dollars here and there. I have an idea that maybe carry way more potential than that and be a great learning experience also. So let's see how this plays out. Any questions, you guys? I can turn this off. We don't need to see that since I'm not actually in it. This may stop out. But this is the whole point of the Trade Scanner Pro. Say, all right, out. That's the whole point of the Trade Scanner Pro, is it defines that risk for you. You know at this point, like, be out. You respect that stop. It may turn around again and give us another long. In fact, if it does something like that, this would be a double bottom on the 15-second chart. It doesn't carry a lot of weight, but for our purposes, it may be justifiable, right, to open up another trade. But meanwhile, there's no new signal here. So I'm not, clearly I would not be buying more, right? I banged it out, or I'd be out. As you know, I respect the stop, and that's that. You step aside. Let's take a look at the 1 minute, because the 1 minute may start firming up here. So this trade, this is where the 15-second gave that signal, and it failed, right? Lower high. And remember, we're at a resistant area here in general. So here's where adjustment comes in. If this thing can't keep this together, right, and we break this low right here, then this thing may be turning. This thing may be pulling back more significantly. And if that's the case, I don't want to keep going long. So I'll still give it that chance. I'll still be interested in longs as long as we can maintain this level right here, this area. There's my heads up. This is the 1 minute now. Look how far it had to pull back to get that 1 minute heads up. This thing had to pull back about 330 points. Actually, that's not a lot for Bitcoin. It pulled back 330 points. Now the candle got too big for the heads up. A signal may appear here, though. So, yeah, can I make some, let me see. Can I I thought I could change this from here. Include commissions. No, I guess I have to do it from here. I guess it's up here. I thought, no, that's not it. Oh, I think it's over here. All right, never mind. I'll have that set up. Well, I'm not planning to continue to use this paper trade situation anyway. I want to get to something that's more meaningful. The paper trade is cool, and it's a tool that you should practice with. But and TradingView obviously has made an effort to make it much more realistic. Like it calculates commissions. It even calculates the margin. So, all right, well, let's see if I can do this. While this is pulling back, let's see if we can take a look at Ethereum. By the way, the market's about to close here. The stock market's about to close. So if I go to Ethereum, let's see. Do I get the perp over here? Can I get the perp? Binance, Coinbase. Let's see. Ethereum. All right, and then perp. Let's see. Can I get the MEXC? Yeah, here it is. It should be similar to Bitcoin. Now, I'm not going to have to go through all that analysis again. Now, I notice Ethereum has not been as responsive. Obviously, Bitcoin is the leader. But look, it's kind of similar. I don't have to go through all that stuff again, right? I know where the resistance is. I know where the support is. I should be able to buy one of these. These signals were not as good as the Bitcoin signals, as you can see. Was this even a winner? Let's see. No, that wasn't. The Bitcoin one was. So they're not exactly correlated here. But look at the formation, right? This is a 1 minute chart. We can still argue it's generally bullish. This is a flag formation. So I'm open to it. I'll take the long. Let's wait for the signal. There's a heads up in play. The orange candle is in play. So a signal should be appearing soon. Let's see how it goes. Let's take a look at other time frames. 2 minute, nothing there. How about 30-second? Nothing there. Should we be jumping around like this? Well, I think you should have a range of time frames to work within. Like, for example, 30-second up to 2-minute, right? You're looking for trades in that time range. So if something pops up on a 30-second, okay. 1 minute, okay. 2-minute, okay. But 15-second, no, that's not part of the range, right? 5-minute, no. But again, that's up to you. Here's the 5-minute. That's a nice pullback. Look at that. That's a very nice pullback, but there's no signal there. So I'm just looking around. The larger the time frames, the less frequent the signals are going to be. The greater the risk and also the greater the profit objective. So the 1 minute is about to give us, look, we got three, this is our third heads up. So I'm very interested in that. This may be a failed low situation. I like the location. Ooh, what's that? That must be a bad tick. But this is why we wait. We wait, we watch, and we wait for confirmation. Does that make sense? You guys following me? So for anyone that's new that's watching, if you want to check out the Trade Scanner Pro, there's a link in the description. I'm not going to go through that whole routine. You guys know it. It's not like I have tons of new people here watching. What I'm looking for right now is, let's see, how are we doing with time? All right, I'm pretty much on time. I want to see if we get a signal off of this Ethereum. I switched over to Ethereum because I think I can afford one here on my practice account. But I want to make sure that the signal goes off first before I buy it. So we got another heads up, the green column, which tells us that in the next 3 to 5 candles, a signal should appear. Ethereum is just like so slow compared to Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin moves, you know, it just gets to the point. This thing, I really don't like. I've tried with Ethereum. I don't like it that much. It's just really slow. All right, so we're just going to wait and watch, like watching paint dry over here. Any questions? See, it can't even get its act together. The signal sort of appears, right? We get the heads up, and then it's like, nope. That's why we wait. Now, if I was not on a stream right now, I can just simply set up the notification and walk away. And eventually a signal will pop up, and then I would get the notification, and then I can do something about it. There's the heads up again. Remember, every time a heads up appears, I would get a notification, right? When these heads up appear, like this one just keeps going back and forth, but I would get a notification for that. So at least like, oh, okay, now I can start watching. All right. Any questions, you guys, while we're waiting for this? Anyone following along with their Trade Scanner Pro? I'll tell you, the tool, it really can do some amazing things if you align properly with the market. Because I think the greatest part about the whole thing is when it lets you ride a winner and you capture something that normally you would not. That's, I think, the best part of the whole thing. Capturing like a 4-to-1 or a 5-to-1 trade where normally you'd get out at like 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1. And this thing keeps you in for those bigger moves like that. That's like really like the coolest part of the whole thing. All right, we got the heads up. It closed. The signal should be appearing in the next 3 to 5 candles. And I'm going to buy one. But we got to wait for the signal. Buying too early while it's tempting is a bad idea. Unless you can trade like nano lots or something like that, right? Some Forex brokers let you trade nano lots, which are like 1/10 of a mini lot. And it's very interesting what you can do when you have such small size and how you can cost average in with really, really small positions. They don't like that, by the way, because it's easier to make money. And anything that's easier to make money for you means it's easier for them to lose money. And they don't like that. Something to keep in mind. That's why not too many people offer that. All right, waiting for the signal. Anyone still following me here? Anyone still watching? I'm only going to give it a few more minutes. Don't worry, I'm not going to keep you guys here all day. Just waiting for this thing to confirm. Now, notice, people may mistake this as bearish. What if we want you to keep us here all day? Well, you'd have to pay me. You'd have to, I'd say sign up to my affiliate links or something, or I don't know, something. You have to pay me, man. Being out, you realize I do this for free. For absolutely nothing, I do this. But more likely to get a short because ETH's 1 hour time frame is in resistance zone. Oh, well, but you know what? That's a good point you bring up, Grego. Bitcoin was also in a resistance zone. It just was a little bit ahead of it. So they're basically the same. Okay. I mean, look, we can compare them. This is Ethereum, right? Look, on this side, I have Bitcoin. On this side over here, the hourly chart, look, this is resistance. We pointed that out earlier. And look, we got a pin bar, a 1 hour pin bar close, and it's pulling back a bit. So they're both at resistance. And it looks like the resistance wasn't cleared. All right. I could see the short argument, but there's only one problem with that short argument is we've just pulled back a little bit, right? So as far as a day trade goes, if I'm going to short it, I would at least like to see some kind of lower high attempt or something. Like I want to see a pullback on the short side to short. Now look at this. Notice it says here my trend is still bullish on this 1 minute time frame, right? So in order for me to short this thing, if I was going to go with the trend, I'd have to wait till that turns bearish. That's one way to go about it. Or I can go into counter trend mode. And by doing that, I would be looking for the next short signal there, which would be much sooner. But counter trend mode is much riskier. You can say, well, what's the problem? We're at resistance. Yeah, we generally are, but we're not like, we've pulled back a little bit is my point. So we may pop up first. And since we're near the lower part, I'm interested in the long. Because remember, as a day trader, I'm only looking for a small bite. I'm not looking for like, dramatic new highs or anything. And this little pullback here doesn't guarantee that we're really going to pull back. We may get like the next candle on this hourly may be an inside bar. And if that's an inside bar, then this is a higher low, and that's a momentum continuation pattern. We're likely to make the higher high in that situation, right? Again, I don't know. Here's a signal. I don't know if that's going to unfold. I can't buy this either. Come on, man. I don't understand this. It's ridiculous. I switched over to Ethereum because I thought it was cheaper. I hate Ethereum. I don't like to day trade Ethereum. All right, let's watch it. I'm going to have to fix this. Trading view is a little too realistic. But let's see where this goes. So, again, you bought it for real? All right. Remember, it may not work. Your risk is defined right here. Okay? So hopefully you're small. But either way, like even if this thing collapses, right? If this thing, I still would not be shorting it at this current price. Like this is not a place to short. If I'm going to short it, I want to see the retrace for the short. Like I want to see the lower high. I don't want to short the low. And that lower high may show up around the profit objective for our long. It might. So in that situation, like if I'm switching, if we're saying, okay, look, this thing is likely to produce a lower high. If that's what we're suspecting, then in that scenario, I would have to switch to counter trend mode, right? Because right now, this is not going to give me short signals. In order for this thing to give me short signals, we're really going to have to sell off like a lot further for the momentum to be confirmed as bearish. This momentum is not exactly bearish yet. Okay? So let's see how this goes. Do you guys see the value of this though? Like, do you guys see how this thing can really help simplify your decision making and help you avoid overthinking and getting caught in a lot of noise I mean, this thing could get caught in noise too, but if your expectations are aligned properly, I think this helps out a lot as far as you know where to get out on both sides. And if you have a winner, which can be random, like a random runner, you're in and it keeps you in because there's no way we can forecast if this is going to run higher or lower. There's no way to know. Right now, for a situation like this, some may argue that's a lower high and that should be calling for a short. Some may argue that, right? But once you're in the trade like this, you have to let the Trade Scanner Pro play out. Because you know how many times we see things like this? You know, oh, wow, that looks bad. Meanwhile, it's nothing but noise. So by not constantly overthinking it, by keeping it simple, meaning, okay, if this is not going to work, we're going to the stop. Okay, and that's it. If it works, we're going to the profit objective. That's it. Very simple. The market is going to choose one or the other. We don't know which one. All we know is if you lose, generally, if you reach these profit objectives, you're winning a little bit more than what you lose. So over time, that should have a positive effect. But the key, though, is the winner, the one that runs, because the one that runs is way more than this profit objective, usually. I mean, you're talking like 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, something like that. And that's what puts you ahead when you're looking at a population of like 1,000 trades, right? That's how it works. All right, so we'll let this thing play out a little bit longer here. I don't need this anymore. Let's see how this goes. It's ridiculous, man. Their margin requirements on a practice account. All right. Any other questions? Any questions, people? How would you guys like some music on the stream? Would you guys like music? I tried 0.5 nubs. They won't let me put 0.5 in there. I tried that. It's like 1 or nothing. I have to reset the account. That's what I have to do. But it's okay because I'm not planning to use the practice account. I'm not planning to use that. So let's just see how this goes, right? So it's good. We should vote on it. For a shapely assistant, hey, I'm voting for that one, man. I would certainly like a shapely assistant, as long as it's a girl. Yes, I would like that a lot. I'm voting for 3. But where would I put her, though? Like, I guess I'd have to either have a second camera, or I'd have to, like, stick her over here somewhere. She'd have to be, like, right here. It might be too close. The Ferrari's cool, too. But you could do more with a shapely assistant than with a Ferrari. I'd take her over the Ferrari, actually. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Because the Ferrari can get you more shapely assistants. Got to think strategically here. All right. No one's voting, man. Because, the new software, actually, this software lets me play music, but it's cheesy, But the other software gives you more flexibility. So, like, I can actually play music on the stream. I can, like, start DJing and stuff. I'm not going to be DJing. Don't worry. So, what I'm going to have to do, UTXO, is I'm going to just, like, introduce these elements here and there and see how people react to them. All right. I've been following some fake gurus who, they do some of these things, and I got a lot of ideas. Some pretty successful fake gurus. And tell you, there's some clever people out there. And so I've been researching a lot of that, and for the purposes of improving my stream and my presentation, because I know it's not that good. I know it's cheesy, and it doesn't look professional, as I've been told numerous times. So I have every intention of improving it. Hey, Peter, good to see you. How are you? From South Africa, right? Do I remember that correctly? All right. This trade is working so far for you, Grego. So here's an idea. If this thing starts to give you a hard time when you're at 1-to-1, sometimes I like to take profits there. See how this thing's kind of being a pain? Sometimes I like to do that. But again, that's really a judgment call because I don't like to make things too complicated. But sometimes you have to do that. Like if it's being a real pain, see what I mean? Look at this. Back to break even. I tell you what I don't like about this situation here. I don't like this type of candle is not a good looking candle, especially when it establishes a lower high. Not a good looking candle. So sometimes when you gave this thing a chance, right? You give this thing a chance and it just continues to give you a hard time. Sometimes maybe you could use your judgment, right? Again, that's going to depend on your experience and stuff like that. In an ideal world, you just either wait for the stop or wait for the profit objective, one or the other. Because theoretically, stuff like this is random. Okay, it's random, and I'm definitely guilty of reacting and saying, "Oh, I don't like that pin bar," right? And I get out of something, and it was nothing but a fake out. It's just random. So, that's going to happen at times. Use a 0 first. Oh, does that work? Because I'll buy one right here if that works. Let's see. 0.5. Oh, I think you're right. Nugs, thank you so much, man. I just got long on my practice account. Wow, right at the blue line. Ah, such nonsense. You would think I would know that by now. But I don't use my practice account a lot. 0, put it. So if you want to use a practice account and you can't afford the margin, you put 0 first, 0.5. Cool, Nugs. Slovakia, Peter. I thought you were from South Africa for some reason. All right, no problem. Slovakia. Cool. Hope things are going well over there. I know, Peter, you've been following me a long time. I must be confusing you with another Peter then. All right, so now I'm involved in this trade here with my half a mini lot or half of whatever, half a contract. I guess if you could put a 0.5, I guess you could do like point anything, right? 0, like 0.1, right? I could probably do a 0.1. Let's see, 0.1. Yeah, you could do 1/10. So that's interesting. So those are basically, you could do like nano lots with something like that, which that's actually a nice thing by working with position sizes that small, because what that allows you to do is you can actually dollar cost average on a very micro level. For example, I bought 0.5 here, but what if we like pull back a bit into this mid area, right? And then we come back up. I can add another 0.5. Or I can add a 0.1 or 0.2 when we're pulling back. And now I'm averaging in, getting a slightly better price. And if it collapses and goes to the stop, I blow the whole thing out. The thing is, I'm losing smaller because I'm buying better prices, right? That's very advanced and it could be very confusing, but I just thought I'd throw it out there. Again, one of the main purposes of the Trade Scanner Pro is to keep things simple. All right, that doesn't look good, but we're going to give it a try. We're going to give it a chance. My trailing stop is now in play, which is attempting now to reduce my risk a bit. It's reduced it slightly. What's happening here with Bitcoin? Bitcoin's still pulling back. Let's see, this is the hourly. let's go to like a 1 minute Bitcoin. Let's see like how they're moving together. Right? This is so I have a Bitcoin on this side here, and I have Ethereum on this side. I mean, you can see they're clearly following. Ethereum is following Bitcoin. Right? It's the same pattern. Look at this. All right, so this is going to get stopped out, it looks like. We had the same double top situation right here off this little resistance line. Okay, so it looks like the resistance wants to stick. I mean, that's the conclusion I have to come to now. The question is, I mean, I'll bang it out once it reaches the stop or the trailing stop. But until then, I'm just going to give it a chance. Notice, though, my momentum is still bullish on this chart, on my 1 minute. So if I wanted to start shorting this is still not the best place to be shorting. Although you look at the chart and you'd be like, what do you mean? It's bearish. Yes, it's bearish. The momentum is bearish, but these are not attractive short prices, right? What I want to see for shorts, if I'm going to go short, is I need to see a test of resistance now. That's what I want to see. That's going to be the high probability short. If I short this now, it might work. Oh, this one just turned. See, this just turned bearish. So all that means is the next signals that I should get, if this thing stays bearish, it's going to give me short signals now. But what has to happen? What has to happen is it needs to pop up, and then it needs to give me a lower high. Because again, the Trade Scanner Pro looks for retracements. This is not a retracement yet. Okay, so I can't, I wouldn't be in a hurry to short this, although it's setting up for a short now. Now at least I can argue, okay, I can look for shorts, but in order for me to go short, there needs to be a pop-up. So, all right, no problem. But as you can see, like I'm not like running around taking 10 million trades here and there, right? I'm not being constantly faked out and this and that. Like I try to trade, it failed. Okay, no problem. But the trade is still in play. Maybe it may still work. Who knows? That's the whole point of having the stop, right? Having a defined point where you're like, okay, this is it. No more long at this point. And I have the trailing stop, which hasn't really reduced my risk by much. So I'll still give it to the full stop. Or actually, if it touches the trailing stop, this thing will vanish. So I might as well just bang it out at that point. And I benefit. Oh, cool. I appreciate that, Peter. All right. So Bitcoin still leads the way, and this is not looking good, right? It's not looking bullish, that's for sure. But I'm not going to just react. That's the main thing. Now, who was it? Grego said before, oh, this market's probably short because we're coming off the resistance. Yeah, so far you're correct. But you have to understand why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking, right? And if I'm going to do that, like I said, if I'm going to short a market, I want to be at that resistance. We're coming off of the resistance zone. All right. I'm just curious too. I'm wondering, were there any short signals? Right. Well, now it's in bearish mode. But if I go into counter trend mode now, it'll show me if there were any. Let's see. Were there any? It's interesting. So counter trend called a short up here on Ethereum, right? Which probably coincides with the up in this area here, right? Where the market rejected this area up in here. So counter trend can position you the right way if your thought process is aligned the right way. Look at that. It looks nice after the fact. But counter trend can also get you into a lot of trouble if you're shorting on the way up there. Like all of this can get you into a lot of trouble, right? Now notice right now, I'm in counter trend mode and it's looking for longs. That's what it does. It goes against, it's looking for signals on the other side of the trend. So here's my long signal, which is still in play from before, and it looks like it's going to get stopped out. It's not there yet, but it looks like it's going to do it. Let's see. All right. So you guys see how that works? So it's nice to see when they all work out, but you have to, it's good to see these situations where they don't work out, and what the thought process is as the market changes. This looks horrible. All right, it stopped out. So now let me go to my thing and bang it out. My Ethereum. Come on, $2. All right. Let me go to my 0.05. No, hold on. 0.5. Bang it out. All right. So that one failed. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and start shorting this thing in a hurry. This thing turned bearish up here. So my choices are I can wait for a new short signal. And in order to get that, this thing needs to pop up. Right? So right now, and the other question is, would I or should I go into counter trend mode in this situation? I'm going to switch this back to Bitcoin. But as you can see, they're following each other. They're the same. Right? Ethereum is just cheaper. So back to the Bitcoin chart. Let me ask you guys a question. Why should I not look for longs right now? Like, why? This is likely a long area, right? It's like we're likely to bounce a bit. Why should I, in order to get that bounce, I'd have to switch to counter trend mode. Why should I not do that? Anyone want to answer that? And don't worry, and if you don't know, say I don't know. Right? That's what I'm here to answer. I'm here to provide that clarification. Because we have rejected from resistance. Well, I wouldn't switch. Right, exactly. You're correct, Grego, because the resistance has stuck. So this resistance is relevant, right? And I can see that now. I can prove that now. And I don't want to use counter trend mode and go long into a resistance. I want to look for shorts now. And this momentum has switched to bearish. So I know that if we can pop back up to this line, that might be a good place for a short signal to appear. But anywhere in this zone now, I would like to see a short signal and I would be open to it. And that's why I would not switch to counter trend mode and look for longs. Where should I look for longs? If I was going to look for longs and switch to counter trend mode, where should I do that? Where do you guys think I should do that? Want to give me like a price level? Any idea? Like, where should I do that? Where should I switch to counter trend? Remember, we use counter trend. The best places to use it are at support or resistance levels. I suspected that we were going to clear this resistance level. We pulled back a bit and it broke. So I have to adjust. I don't want to be buying resistance levels now that this resistance levels has been respected, right? So where should I, if I was going to look for longs, where should I do that? Now, of course, you can be extremely aggressive and you can try going for that long, but it's extremely aggressive and it's low probability, right? Although it looks nice right now at this moment, it's aggressive. So your expectations on something like that should be very low. Even if you bought this and be like, all right, I'm trying to make 100 points or something. All right. But it's a low probability trade, even if it works out. So to answer the question, if I was going to look for longs, I need to find support levels. Well, and there's sort of a support level over here. There's some kind of level, but that's on the 1 minute. Let me zoom out a bit, right? I don't want to just give 1 minute supports so much weight. I want to look around, right? I want to look around and see. I mean, there's an old resistance around here. This would be a better area. So if I'm going to look for longs, right, and I'm going to switch to counter trend mode, it should be this area, right? This would be the area to do it, right here. See that? You see why? Not here. This is tempting. Like, oh yeah, right. That's tempting. But this is going to be a high probability, a much higher probability area. Look at how many touches there are. You can even go slightly lower. There are even more touches if I go a little bit lower, right? So those are going to be, the more touches, the better, right? So that's going to be higher probability. This right now, it looks like it's bouncing, but it's going to be lower probability. And over time, that's going to play out. Just like poker hands, you know? All right, you guys. So do I see any other questions? Any other questions? All right, so I'll leave you with that. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. You can send me an email at mark@markpremarkets.com. Like I said, I have some improvements on the way, so stay tuned for all that. Again, I appreciate your time here with me today. I hope you got some value out of the stream. Press the like button, press subscribe. And if you're not using the Trade Scanner Pro, you should subscribe to it and give it a try for 14 days, right? There's a link in the description. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. So again, and if someone reaches out to you as me or as Stian or Alex or something like that, and they're asking you for money, I hope you realize by now that's a scam. So block the person, report the person. I like to remind people of that every week. All right. So everyone, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And again, thank you for watching.